Welcome, everyone, to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Chrysan here in this TGIF edition of Sports Shorts Daily. Normally, we come to you on the morning time, but due to wedding duties of TK, as his son is getting married this weekend, we're doing it here on this Monday afternoon. Go ahead and like and share this video. And, of course, Tommy joining us courtesy of Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. And, of course, catering's available. And with Mother's Day coming up, you're going to be doing a lot of barbecue and cooking. That way mom doesn't have to do it. Go buy Tremonti's Meat and Seafood and get yourself taken care of there. Today on Sports Shorts Daily, we're going to Tommy and I are going to get into talking about the LSU men's and women's basketball. When do we ever talk about them in men? But in a good way, and that's what we're doing. Both teams bringing in lots of transfers. The women's side, they got a great freshman class coming in. They got a McDonald's All-American in their class. But then they go get this Reese young lady. I know it's Angel or Angel, but it's Angel Reese I'm going to go with. 6'3" guard forward. She averaged nearly 18 points a game last year for Maryland, along with 10 rebounds and 1.5 assists. So she is a stud, and they got some other transfers as well. But this one is big time to go along with that great freshman class that's going to have a McDonald's All-American in it. And you know she's probably not done with the transfer pool at this point. So men's and women's basketball, we'll get into talking LSU baseball this weekend on the road at Alabama, and also the big story nationally, NIL and what's going on in DC, transfer portals and all that. Tommy's been all over it. Thanks for tuning in, Chance Babin. Thanks. Good afternoon to you. Thanks, Craig Schilling, for joining us as well. And you're right, Chance. Kim Mulkey is on fire. Please like and share this video. Tommy, first things first, the NIL story and the transfer portal story. You know, we thought a couple of weeks ago that there was going to be seismic changes in college athletics, maybe in another 10 years, maybe another 12, 13 years. I got the way this thing is speeding and people are losing their mind on it and things are spiraling out of control. I can see seismic shifts in college athletics in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, and it may coordinate with Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. You know, keep that in mind. That's still a pending thing. Supposed to be 2025. Might happen a little bit earlier, as we talked about, although that topic hasn't come up lately. But I definitely think there's going to be a significant change, in particular with football. You know, the commissioner, the people who want the football to be under the umbrella of the college football playoff. Put 40 teams in there, 48 teams, like baseball, have divisions and all this stuff, and then have playoffs, and then let the other Division I schools also crown a champion. I mean, we crown a FCS champion, the Division II champion, the Division III champion. Just add another champion to the list. I think it's going to happen. I mean, the NCAA right now is a total disaster. It's a dumpster fire. It's a train wreck, whatever analogy you want to use, because Mark Emmert and his staff didn't want to get out in front of this NIL stuff and the transfer portal. You got 2 commissioners going to Washington, D.C. for help. I don't think that's a real good idea, but it's their only choice to try to bring some type of rules or sanity into this whole thing.
You're right, TK. I will say this, that I think that we got a situation where if they don't do something fast, you're going to have a number of these Division I base football teams, and in particular, we're talking football primarily, but Division I athletic teams, they just cannot compete. It's not the level playing field. And, oh, by the way, even though LSU and Alabama and A&M and these teams can maybe afford to go down this NIL transfer rabbit hole, do they want to? And if you're LSU, do you want to go down that rabbit hole and have to spend so much money and effort buying players and basically being held hostage by transfer portals and all that kind of stuff? It's getting so oogie. I don't know that the fans want to deal with it.
I agree, and it's going to push people away because it's so messed up. You know, there's nothing. We've said it from day one. It's the Wild Wild West with no sheriff. And look, it's not all good. This could cause some problems with attendance, TV ratings, which is where all the money is. I mean, something has to happen quickly. But going to Washington, D.C., while that might be the only option, it ain't going to happen quickly. You're looking at years before they would agree to put in some rules. And then with the midterm elections this fall, ain't nobody touching this stuff. Okay, but as somebody said on a national radio show, at least they planted the seed. They went to D.C. and got the conversation going, although it may not be revisited for a while. But you got to find somebody. The NCAA has imploded. Okay, it's a mess. You got to get somebody to get in there, and they got to separate football. That's the only option to keep things going.
I thought it was interesting that, it wasn't the little fellas. It was the big boys that are now raising the flag. The SEC commissioner, the Big Ten commissioner, these are people that are going, hey, we need help. We would have thought, and we thought maybe a year ago, that the haves and the have-nots, the haves being the SEC, would be like, yeah, we're all for everything. We're going to dominate. But now they realize this isn't sustainable. We heard you mentioned the story about, I mentioned the story about the Miami basketball player having an NIL agent saying if he doesn't have a better deal by the end of the week, we're transferring, about how the recruit going to the car dealership and, not getting the deal done and the player transferring. I understand that to a certain degree, it's hypocritical to say that you can have coaches and ADs making millions of dollars, assistant coaches, coaching wide receivers making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, but yet at the same time, you got all these restrictions in place so that a player, can get in trouble if he accepts money on the side. But what's the boundary? And I would say this, Tommy, I think the fix is simple. I don't cap what you can pay a player. That's not American. Okay, you don't cap what you can pay Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban and Coach O and Brian Kelly and all these, they can get as much as the market will bear. So why can't a player do that? But you can limit one-time transfer. One time, that's it. You sign with that college, and you don't like it, and you want to leave, you can transfer and be eligible one time. And if you did that, then, yeah, you might have a player come to LSU or any college and leverage it. And, you know what, I don't like it here for whatever reason. I'm not playing enough. Maybe my NIL, I get bought off by another school and go there. That's fine. But one time, if you did that and you limit it to one time, it would clean up a lot of this.
Yeah, I think that's where you got to start, because you're never going to be able to cap the thing. They'll lose that in court, okay? And, I mean, is there really a cap? Because stuff's been going on for a long time, but now you got NIL on the forefront. But no, they've got to tighten up the portal. Give them 1 week in May, 1 week in December when you can enter the portal. We'll make it 2 weeks. I don't care. But that's it. You can't get mad at practice in September when the coach yells at you and go in the portal the next day. And then, like you said, one time, I think if your head coach leaves, you could transfer and be immediately eligible because you lost the coach that you went to play for. If not, one transfer, and that's it. You transfer again, you're sitting out 2 years, or maybe they'd have to say one, and that would deflect some of that.
But here's the thing that I'll say to that, Tommy. To me, there needs to be a little bit of common sense with that as well. Okay, so if I sign with LSU because Brian Kelly's the coach at LSU, and after my second or third year he leaves, I shouldn't be eligible right away. It should be like the first year,
Or if you sign with him and he leaves before you play for him.
Wait, say that again?
If you sign in February and he leaves in May, you never played for him.
Right.
But I think what else you got to throw in there
is you can't go play for him at his new school.
Or you can't transfer into conference. You can't leave Bama and go to Tennessee.
I don't think
find another conference.
So the old rule for years was if you transfer within the conference, you had to sit out 2 years, or if you transferred to somewhere else, you had to sit out 1 year, unless you dropped down in classification. Spring sports back for years, you had outside of football, you had a release. You could get a release and be eligible right away, just not in conference. You can't have too many restrictions because you're going to lose in court. And again, getting back to the hypocritical thing, why can coaches, administrators, assistants make as much money and transfer and take different jobs left and right? But you don't want to have what we're seeing, like Murray State, for example. Thank God for McMahon. Half the team from Murray State's coming to LSU. Is that fair to Murray State? Of course not. So to me, you should have some rules in there where, hey, if Brian Kelly leaves LSU and takes the job at Notre Dame, He shouldn't be able to take the whole team with him to Notre Dame. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're going to have teams like Big Boy Dollars buy coaches because they can buy the whole team or half the team to go with them. So there should be some restrictions in play. One-time transfer, and if you do transfer because your coach leaves, you can't go be with your coach the following year. Maybe 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road, but a coach can't take the job somewhere else and then just ravage that, take the whole team with them, which you would see done in basketball primarily, and you're seeing it right now at Murray State.
Well, and another scenario that has been thought about, what if you got an agent, okay, because kids can have agents now, and he goes to the coach and says, look, I can get you Ronnie Rance. I go to the coach, I can get you Ronnie Rance, but you got a problem with me, he's going to be the Friday night starter. And then the coach, now you're putting the coach in a spot that if he wants that kid, because he promised the agent, it's a mess. And I think it's going to get uglier before it gets better.
I think there's some not too crazy hard fixes. They just have to figure out, and that's probably why they're in Washington, D.C. They're trying to get some protections from the government. Not that D.C. fixes all. Trust me, we all know that. But they're trying to get some protections in place to back the conferences and back the schools to say it can't be one-year contracts for everybody. And we got so many examples we can do. If you're LSU and you look down and you see Willis at Liberty, why don't you go hire the offensive coordinator and say, bring Willis and I'll give you the job and I'll pay Willis $1 million to be the quarterback next year at LSU. Those things are going to happen all day, every day. And the tampering issue is huge. I mean, there's nothing you can do about tampering. Tampering's like trying to regulate paying players under the table when in recruiting. I mean, unless you're Will Wade and you get FBI tapped, how are you going to know about tampering, right? I mean, your AAU coach is going to go to, Denny's and meet the, third assistant at LSU and say, hey, I got the guy so-and-so willing to come. What can we do? I mean, tampering's not, that's here nor there unless you're just stupid about it. But I hope it gets fixed, Tommy, because quite honestly, I'm losing the passion and the love for college athletics because it's now just, it's not college anymore. It's straight minor leagues is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Washington, D.C., Congress has got to give some kind of protection to the NCAA. Like right now, the NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. Okay, where they got to have something in place where if they enact XYZ rules, then you can't file a lawsuit against them. I mean, something's got to be done and figured out by people far smarter than me.
Talking LSU hoops for a minute. I mean, wow. I mean, the LSU literally didn't have a scholarship player. Now they got like 10 or 11 players through the transfer.
That was by design. But they got rid of all the men's players to sell the NCAA. Anybody that might have done something wrong under Will Wade is no longer here. Now, a couple of them have come back. So that was a calculated move to actually put the roster at 0.
I'm curious to see who has more season tickets next year, Tommy. LSU women or LSU men?
We might have meatandpotatoesusa.com. I need to get an over and under going on that.
I think LSU men is probably a minus 150 on that. I think that'd be, and then you'd probably be plus 110 on the women.
I think the women, I don't know, man.
The women were around 5,000. I think the men were more like 7,500, if I remember correctly. So there's a gap.
Yeah, no, we got to examine that when we get a little bit closer.
We say we hate portal, yet both LSU teams are living through portal. And look,
Brian Kelly portal helped him significantly.
Everybody's living through the portal. Everybody's living through the portal. Now the big boys, the SEC powers and the Big Ten powers, are going to do better through the portal than the little schools, but everybody's living through the portal. And look, even in Iowa State, who LSU played in the NCAA tournament in basketball and got beat, Iowa State, who I wouldn't consider Iowa State a power by any means, right? Iowa State went 0-18 in basketball a year ago. They got rid of their coach. They rebuilt with a new coach and through the portal, and they were the NCAA tournament. So if they can do it, anybody can. But and look, and Jay Johnson said that. Jay Johnson said, I hate the portal. I don't like the LSU baseball coach. I don't like the portal. I hate the portal. But that's the rules, and we're going to live in the portal, and we're going to dominate in the portal. I'm going to play with the rules, and I'm going to try to be the best at it. Paul Maneri said that played a big role in why he wanted to step down when he did. Was he just felt oogie about the portal. He knew that he was going to have to raid the mid majors and other teams, players, and that he's got friends with all those coaches. And he decided, you know what, it's not worth it. It just doesn't feel right. So he got out before he pissed off a lot of his friends. But Jay Johnson, on the other hand, who doesn't like it, is like, hey, I guess he's got enough friends and family. He's just going to go get all the players he can get. And I would expect that LSU is going to be a dog in the portal, because think of all the good players that are out there that are at schools that might have 500 people a game. UCLA, for example, has got a second baseman that's got over 20 doubles this year that signed with Jay Johnson at Arizona, but never went there because when he took the LSU job, the kid signed at UCLA. But yet, Jay really loved the kid, wanted to get him to LSU. He took the UCLA gig. I mean, players like that are going to be back channeling in a big way come the end of the season. LSU baseball, Tommy, tonight. Mikael Hilliard, can he really do it again? Would it be 4 weeks in a row that he's a stud?
Well, I'm not going to be surprised if he does. If he does do this again, I'll be surprised if he has a bad outing. Although the baseball guys would say he might be due for a bad outing, but he's the best pitcher they got. He's giving them a chance to win. He's competing. He's battling on every pitch, and I think the team knows that. So they're going to get behind him. And Bama's 9-12 in league play. They've struggled. They've had some injuries, but they've struggled a little bit this year. LSU needs to, clean up the defense and hit the ball and get the good pitching and use 8 guys and 4 hours and go get some wins. I mean, they've got to get 2 out of 3 against Bama.
All right. So as far as LSU baseball is concerned right now, Tommy, they need to go sweep this weekend. I think if they sweep this weekend, you're looking at a back end 8 seed type of thing. If they sweep this weekend, then they really only need to win 3 of their next 6 games in order to get to 18 wins. And with that quality of wins, and if you take care of business against Southeastern and Northwestern State, I think they're going to get in there as a number 8 seed. They're surely going to be a top 4 seed in the SEC and get a bye, which means they'll get 2 cracks at picking up another W to pad their resume.
Are they going to try to put the Lamar game back on the schedule?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I've not heard.
Jay Johnson said the other day the 3 remaining midweek games, and on the schedule there's only 2, Southeastern and Northwestern State, which are both at the box. But Lamar was supposed to come to the box, a month ago. Weather, and they said we hope to reschedule it. No, I haven't seen a release that has been rescheduled, but you would think that's coming soon if they can get it rescheduled. Of course, it's got to fit Lamar's schedule, and their conference tournament comes up ahead of the SEC tournament, so Lamar might not have availability.
That's true. Let me look real quick at let me check this. Sometimes they'll put some stuff up before they put it. Lamar baseball schedule. I'm going to just look and see if by chance they have something on their site here. Lamar, of course, coached by Will Davis, the former LSU.
I looked at the LSU site for that specific reason.
So Lamar plays UT Rio Grande Valley. Lamar's in the WAC this year. Next year they go back to the Southland Conference. But this weekend they play at home against UT Rio Grande Valley. Next week they have a midweek game against Southern at home. The Jags go over and face them at home. They don't have a Wednesday game. They play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Abilene Christian. So I would be hard pressed to think that they would drive over and back on Wednesday to play LSU when they've got a road trip at Abilene that weekend. And then the following week, though, Tommy, they are free, but LSU's got a Northwestern State game on a Tuesday, and then they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So they're not going to want to jam in Lamar on a Wednesday. So,
well, you go doubleheader Tuesday, play Lamar at noon, let them get home, take an hour break, and then play Northwestern State. I know that taxes the pitching staff, but you might want to get that game in for RPI purposes.
Yeah, no question about it. I'll have to text Will Davis, and I'll let you know something on Monday. We may know something by Monday anyway from LSU on what we're going to do.
Maybe find out for Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll text Will, see if there's been anything. We'll talk about it on Sports Church Radio. Tomorrow, by the way, we'll be from 10 to noon over at Calandro's on Perkins and Segan. We'll be at Calandro's Supermarket tomorrow on Perkins and Segan, so come by. I'll be there with Hunter McCann and Joel Davis as well. I know TK will join us on the phone. Are you available tomorrow? Are we going to catch you on the phone?
Yeah, I'm going to do. I already told Hunter to, y'all call me at 11 first.
Okay. We'll have our Court Street Cafe report with Tommy.
So that we can do hold the rope. So then we can do hold the rope Sunday night.
Okay. All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's before we get out of here.
Well, if you got anything you want to do for Mother's Day, they're not going to be open Sunday, Mother's Day. But if you want to order live crawfish, boiled crawfish, the steaks, the wine, the whiskey, the seafood, it's all available. Give them a call. You see the number on your screen. We'll connect on Facebook and Instagram. Also got a big special of Woodford Reserve store pick made exclusively for Tremonti's single barrel whiskey. So that's a big special right now. They've had sold 10 bottles since I've been here. Big special. It's all posted on Facebook and Instagram. Check out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood for all the Mother's Day needs.
All right, Tommy, take care. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie Rance. Check us out tomorrow morning for more Sports Church Radio, and we'll be back on Monday morning for Sports Church Daily, presented by LeBears.